Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. We apologize for the technical difficulties that we had, but I think we're up and running now. Anyway, we just want to welcome you here to hear about the Vietnam initiative, and we have Lourdes Rocha here to explain that. I just want to let everyone know that we will have time for Q&A at the end, and you can type in your your questions in the chat box or the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and we will get to the questions at the end of the presentation. And I'm going to pass it over to Cindy to introduce Lourdes.
Perfect. Thank you, Melinda. To have Lourdes Rocha here with us tonight. She currently works at a children's hospital in California, advocating for children and helping children and their families understand why the children find themselves in the hospital. So helping patients and families is in her very nature. Nearly 10 years ago, her father was diagnosed with cholangiocarcinoma. She discovered the foundation through the discussion boards online and was welcomed there with warmth and kindness and began to form friendships. Unfortunately, in 2012, Lourdes lost her father, and it was difficult, as you can imagine. Seeking to keep his memory alive, she attended an event in Washington, D.C. called In Memory Day. It's a ceremony where loved ones come together to recognize veterans that they've lost to service-connected issues. And there she met fellow CCF volunteers and began to welcome others to a newly created Facebook page and support group. Lourdes knows firsthand how overwhelming a claim process can be, and she wants others to know to not give up. And she works as a volunteer and leads the Veterans Program for the Foundation, and we are certainly glad to welcome her today.
Thank you so much, Cindy and Melinda. Hi, everybody. I am sorry that you can't see my face, but I will try to explain a little bit about this process. My disclaimer is really that I am not an attorney. I'm not an expert. I'm really just somebody who has gone through the process and belong to a community of individuals who have also gone through the process. And we are basically compiling a lot of information to try to help others who are also just going through this. So this is really just basic information. And if you would like more information, I will mention how to connect with us at the end. If you want to go ahead, Melinda. So in order to, if your loved one is a veteran and you are going to start the process of a claim, if your loved one is deceased, you would be doing the Dependency Indemnity Compensation claim, and that's the web link for the VA webpage. There is a form there that you would be filling out if you are doing this. If your loved one is still alive, it is a different process, and I'm not equipped, I would say, to give you the most accurate information. I would just kind of going through it as if your loved one is deceased and you are the spouse of someone who was a veteran, and to go through this process would be going to this website, and you can kind of look at that information there. If you can go ahead, Melinda. So this is what that page looks like. It does say at the bottom, it says spouses, dependents, and parents. Dependents, I believe it's labeled as 18 years old and younger, or I believe if the dependent has a disability. That's when, if a spouse is no longer here, and the children of the veteran are older already, then you are not eligible to file a claim this way. So dependent would be the 18-year-old or younger individual, but definitely check out this information because the VA does identify the information on their website that way. Go ahead, Melinda. So this is also directly from the VA page. So it tells you exactly how you would be applying for compensation. You can download that .pdf document, which is that first blue link on there. If you're the spouse, that's only if it was active duty, I'm sorry. So the second one is if you're a surviving spouse or child of a veteran. So that's the one that you would be filling out. In the following, if you want to go ahead, Melinda. You can do this either by yourself with a VSO rep, so a service representative or an attorney. It's really up to you. A lot of us do not recommend doing this by yourself because it is a tedious process and can be a little bit confusing. There are many different service organizations out there, and the VA has a page that you can search for the ones that are near your area and that would also are able to help with filing a claim. If you choose to go with an attorney, that's up to you. You can definitely do that. There are attorneys that are specific to the VA claims process, and they are most of them, or I believe actually all of them, are required to not take anything until no compensation until the claim is actually completed and it's been approved. So that's something for you to be aware of. In the next slide, I believe it shows that search page on the VA webpage that you can look for accredited individuals who can help with that process. Okay, go ahead. Okay, so including in your claim, you're gonna have the information from the veteran. So that's the DD-214, which is basically, as many of you may already know, the information that tells you about the veteran themselves, where they served, what they did as their job duty. It gives their social security numbers on that document. That is basically the identification with the Veterans Affairs. That is the document you will always need. If you don't have that document, you can request a copy of it from the VA. I don't know how long that process takes, but you are able to request a new copy, especially if some of the older copies are worn and a little bit faded. You can definitely still request another copy of the DD-214. You're going to want to include a Nexus Letter, and that Nexus Letter is a document that you can request from your loved one's oncologist if they had a doctor who they were seeing, whether it was with the Veterans Affairs or separately. You would like to request this information from the doctor. And basically this letter is to identify the veteran and identify who they are, explain what their relationship is to the veteran, describe the symptoms that the veteran has, and to whatever that illness is that the veteran has is impacting the veteran himself or herself. If it's not, since cholangiocarcinoma is not considered a service-connected illness, in the Nexus Letter, we would want the physician to say a certain language, such as it is as likely as not, because we want to show that there is some potential evidence that the exposure to liver flukes or for Vietnam veterans or other service members who are exposed to Agent Orange could have aggravated what this illness is. So there is specific language that we try to encourage to be used. I have read, I believe from a different member in our community, that sometimes VA doctors will not write a Nexus letter. So if you happen to go to a second opinion doctor, an oncologist somewhere else, definitely keep that in mind, that you will want to ask for a Nexus letter. Medical information is something else that you're going to want to include in the claim. Sometimes medical information is many pages long. If you're sending this in paper form, make sure that you do not send the original documents from your doctor, because as you all know, getting medical information can be a little bit tricky, and you want to keep those documents for your information. Sometimes medical information is now provided electronically. So if you do that and you have like an attached disk, again, make sure you don't send anything that's original. Always keep copies of what you send. You can also provide additional research articles in terms of support for cholangiocarcinoma and exposure to liver flukes and Agent Orange. So there are many different research articles out there that have been identified and that other individuals have used in their claims, where it identifies that this is a potential risk factor for veterans who have served overseas. So those are also good to include in the claim as well. You can go ahead, Melinda. So for the Cholangiocarcinoma Foundation, if you're already here, my guess is that you probably have heard about the Veterans Project. But this is just kind of quick snapshot of the page of how to find where to go to learn more about cholangiocarcinoma and Vietnam veterans. It would be under the Patients tab, where it has Discover, and then it's the Learn About CCA and Vietnam Veterans. When you click to that link, it will take you to a different page, and I think it's on the next slide. Where it gives you different facts about Vietnam veterans. It will also mention on this page about the Nexus letter, and it will give, there's a tab that will open up and it'll give like an example of that. On the side, if you would like to get more information in terms of like additional research articles or claims that have been approved by members of our closed Facebook group, which is, like it says on the page, it's not managed by the Cholangiocarcinoma Foundation. That third little blue button is the one you would want to click on, because that's where you would fill out a questionnaire from the Cholangiocarcinoma Foundation. And it just asks some basic information, the veteran's name, where they served, what years they served, if they're planning on filing a claim, or if you've already filed a claim, your contact information. And basically I, as a volunteer with the foundation, will receive that questionnaire, and then I will contact you via email just to follow up on it. In my email to you, I will ask or mention whether or not you've said that you are planning to file or not file. And I will also ask if you can send a copy of a DD-214 without any of the identifying information on it. So like cover up the social, and that is the request that I make based on experiences from someone who was volunteering before for the Cholangiocarcinoma Foundation, and it was just trying to navigate if you were truly somebody out there who is asking for a veteran, or you were a family of a veteran, because unfortunately with the internet and all of that, sometimes individuals will request information that they then will want to disseminate in a way that's not the nicest to our members. So that's why I will ask for that. I don't do anything with those. If you do send it to me, it basically lives saved in my email, and I don't print them. I don't send them to anyone. Your information does not go anywhere. It's really just like a proof-ish kind of a thing for me. If you and I are talking and you've explained your situation, and I can tell that you are someone who is a family member or a veteran, I'm not going to ask for the DD-214, but I want you who are listening to know, in case you do see that or you hear that and you wonder why am I asking, that's really why. I have had some service representatives email before and ask for an attorney of a family member email. And I've asked that the family email me directly, and they have my contact information. And that's, again, just to make sure that the family is getting the information directly and that no one is trying to charge you for anything, because all of this information that we do have is basically been compiled by family members who have gone through this claims process, who have researched information, or who have had other attorneys or service representatives who have helped them to find that. And we tried to make that accessible to families and veterans in a way that's still respectful of those who have already gone through the process. So if you're going directly to that Facebook link that goes to the closed Facebook group, it will ask in there some questions, and it will ask you to fill out the questionnaire on the Cholangiocarcinoma Foundation. We will match up the names. So if you're requesting to join the closed group, we'll match up names to make sure that you're admitted into the group once we've already kind of communicated with you through the questionnaire process. Either myself or another moderator, we have a few on the Facebook group, will admit you to the group once we kind of know that you match up basically with the questionnaire. And that's really the process for that. I don't know what the, yes. If anyone has any questions, it is very, very basic in terms of the claims process, but that's kind of like the starting out point. If you have more in-depth questions, I can definitely try to answer those as well. I don't know what questions are out there yet, though.
Let me take a peek and see if we have any questions. Gotta get my glasses, hold on. So, Dawn, is that a question?
Nope, she was clearing something up. Just a reminder, if you want to ask a question, use the chat box feature. Just go over there, hit chat, and you can type in your question there and we'll see it.
Lourdes, this is Dawn. I wanted to ask you what, I know you're seeing predominantly Vietnam War vets with claims, but are you seeing claims coming in from any other war or service time?
We do sometimes see individuals who served in Korea. So those are the individuals who I've seen the most requests, aside from the Vietnam veterans. I did receive one request from someone who served in the Gulf War. So that is also something to potentially consider. And if anyone is listening out there and you know a veteran, regardless of where they served, I would definitely just highly recommend talking to the doctor about potential risk factors for exposure to any type of dioxins, especially. And then if they served in any of the Southeast Asian countries, to double check in terms of like potential liver fluke and any possible changes with that in their bile ducts. Regardless of whether you want to file or not, that's definitely something I would highly recommend.
Thank you so much.
Oh, sorry, Dawn. We have a question. My husband is already 100% disabled, and I'm wondering if I should file a claim Would it help someone else if we filed a claim?
I mean, I would say you could potentially add it to your current situation if you were to file a claim. Our ultimate goal as a community is to have one day have this on the service connected list. That's like the dream goal to have. So I don't know if the VA will add it to your current situation for your husband, but if it could help in some way, I think that it would be greatly appreciated as well from somebody else's perspective.
All right, good. Once again, anyone else have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. How about Cindy or Dawn? Do we have any other questions that you guys can think of that we might have not covered?
This is Dawn again, Lourdes. I was curious if you had any idea as to how many claims have been granted versus how many claims have been filed. I know that's a difficult, I know you can't know specifics, but if you have a ballpark at all.
I actually today was going through our list because every questionnaire that comes in and we've had communication with someone, we add them to an ongoing list of veterans' names who have been diagnosed with cholangiocarcinoma, who died from cholangiocarcinoma. It's either from the questionnaires, from connections on the Facebook pages, or even obituaries from before when Anne used to be on the one handling all of this. And there is almost 400 names on that list. And I am not 100% sure as to how many of them have been approved. I do know that the claims process is daunting and it can be very emotionally draining. It is definitely something where many individuals have to go back and appeal. And if that happens to you and they deny your claim the first time, I highly recommend that you appeal the claim and file again. They might, ask for a very specific mention of something, the VA might be very particular depending on the situation, but I would highly recommend appealing. I don't know how many have been approved. I don't want to even guess at a number just because I don't want to give the incorrect information. For me personally and my family, it took 6 years before the claim was approved. There are other family members who get approved the first time. So sometimes it just really depends. So that's why I would encourage you to just keep trying if you are going through that claims process.
Lourdes, does it vary like state to state, representative to representative, or VA to VA?
I think it might, depending on how where you have to submit it. So depending on where you live, it'll go to a certain main office. It's interesting because the state of North Dakota actually has their own document that is titled Presumptive Cancers Due to Agent Orange Exposure and Cholangiocarcinoma. That's directly from the VA there, and it highlights, it's like this very large PDF document, and it highlights what you need to do in order to submit your claim. But that's the state of North Dakota. I don't necessarily know everywhere else. The VA also has their own page online that identifies cholangiocarcinoma as exposure, as like an infectious disease for veterans. And that one, if anyone out there wanted that information, you basically would type in Department of Veteran Affairs, type that into Google, and then bile.cancer. And there's a public health page that will pop up. And it's publichealth.va.gov. and then it has the rest of the link, which is exposures / infectious diseases, and then cholangiocarcinoma. So the VA recognizes that this is something that's out there, which is big to say, but it's not necessarily being pushed through in the claims.
All right. Anything else? Any other questions? If not, I just want to remind everyone that this is being recorded and we will post it on the website and on our YouTube channel. So feel free to direct others who may have questions to the recording, and we can also help to connect them with Lourdes. If that's it, I just want to say thank you, Lourdes, for doing this presentation and doing all the volunteer work you do with the veterans, and just tell you how much we appreciate you. Thank you so much.
I hope this is helpful.
It's very helpful.
You're very dedicated. It's greatly appreciated.
All right, hold on. Yep. Okay. To Lisa, who joined late, don't worry about it. It's recorded and you can catch the recording, no worries. Holler if you have any questions, and I wish everyone a good evening. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you all.